Scottsdale Planning Commission public hearing. The city appreciates your interest and participation in the public hearing process. The Planning Commission serves as an advisory board to the City Council on land use and zoning matters. The hearing agenda items consist of development applications that require public hearings. The Planning Commission considers the item and makes a recommendation for approval or denial to the City Council. City Council will make the final decision for or against approval of the application. The agenda consists of the roll call, administrative report by staff, public comment for non-agendized items, approval of minutes from the previous hearing, continuance for items that will not be heard tonight, withdrawals for items that have been withdrawn from any further consideration, consent agenda for items not likely to require a presentation or discussion. All items on the consent agenda may be voted on together. Any commissioner may move any item from the consent agenda to the regular agenda. Regular agenda is where each item includes a presentation and recommendation by staff, a presentation by the applicant, and public comments. The applicant will then have an opportunity to respond to public comments. Planning Commission will deliberate on the case and cast their votes. And lastly, non-action items are for discussion only items. No vote will be cast by the Planning Commission. Citizens wishing to speak on any agenda item will need to fill out a blue speaker card, or if not willing to speak, may fill out a yellow comment card and turn it in at the staff table before the agenda item is to be discussed. The chair will call your name when it is your turn to speak. When called, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and then begin speaking. Groups wishing to speak should elect a spokesperson to represent the views of the group. To facilitate the meeting, your comment will be limited to 3 minutes for individual speakers. 1 additional minute for each additional individual who is present at the hearing and has contributed their time to a representative speaker, up to a maximum of 10 minutes. Please format your speech to fit within the allotted time. A light system is installed on the podium for timing presentations. The light will be green for 2 minutes, yellow for 1, and red when your time is up. Please conclude your comments when the red light appears. Thank you for your interest and time. Now we'll begin the hearing with the roll call.
Chair Scarborough.
Here.
Vice Chair Young.
Here.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Present.
Commissioner Ertel.
Here.
Commissioner Joyner.
Here.
Commissioner Drake.
Here.
Commissioner Reed.
Here.
All here.
Thank you very much. I don't see any up here, but Mr. Curtis, do we have any public comments for non-agendized items?
No, Mr. Chairman, we do not.
Perfect. Then we'll move to the administrative report. Mr. Curtis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission. Just want to remind you that the Kiva has been reorganized since the summer break by the City Council. So the podium to my right here will be used by the staff presentation and the applicant presentation. And the podium further to the left will be used for public comment. So if anybody wants to speak, they'll be using that podium over there. So those are the big changes. The table out front here is just temporary. That's just hasn't been moved for some of the council items, but we won't be using that table tonight. And as you see, they added additional screens in front of us, so we'll just try to look over them. But so those are the new changes. And so I hope everybody understands that and hope everything works out smoothly. So thank you on that. Just want to let you know that and remind you, at least for the veteran members, we had talked a few months ago about having a joint Planning Commission Development Review Board meeting. And that was right before the summer break. And as we had discussed then, we were down 2 members. And so we've since filled that out. And summer is coming to an end. So we're going to be looking at some potential days in the upcoming months so we could get that meeting together again to talk about some of the subjects that we previously identified. So we'll have to pick a few dates, run them through the Development Board members, the Planning Commission members to see if we can target something, preferably in the near future among all the other things that we all have going on. So that's still an item that we want to get established. So just wanted to remind you of that. And then also with regard to tonight's agenda, agenda item 5, there was additional correspondence since the original agenda went out. So just want to make sure that you have a copy of that in front of you and just draw your attention to that for item number 5. Also, in September, we do have normally 2 scheduled meetings, one for the September 10th and one for the September 24th. Right now, we're not anticipating any items on September 10th, so that may be canceled. But we do anticipate items on September 24th, so just give you a heads up on that. With that, that's all I have for the administrative items, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. Next, we'll go ahead and review the minutes. We have minutes from July 23rd, 2025. Do we have any comments, corrections to those minutes? And if not, do I have a motion?
Chair Scarborough, I'll move for approval of the July 23rd, 2025 regular meeting minutes as written.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I have a second, or first, do I have a second?
I second the nomination. Excuse me, I second the motion.
Perfect. Commissioner Gonzalez seconds the motion, so we'll have a roll call vote.
Chair Scarborough,
Yes.
Vice Chair Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Yes.
Commissioner Ertel,
Yes.
Commissioner Joyner,
Yes.
Commissioner Drake,
Yes.
Commissioner Reed.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda. We have currently 3 items. I do know that Commissioner would like to pull item 3 of the consent agenda, leaving items 2 and 4. Do I have any other commissioners that would like to move items 2 or 4 to the regular agenda? Okay, I see none, so do I have a motion for items 2 and 4 on the consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the consent agenda with items 2 and 4.
Perfect. Does staff need her to have a more robust motion? Or is that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that would be helpful if Commissioner Joyner could just read off on the suggested motion sheet, items number 2 and 4, just to make the record clear. Thank you.
Okay, I move to approve the consent agenda with items 1AB 2025 and 4TA 2024 pound 2 to remain on the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Joyner,
You want the whole thing read?
yeah, because the motion, she does talk about
Okay.
making that recommendation of approval to the city council consistent with the general plan. So if you could read that, that would certainly be helpful. Thank you.
Okay, I make a motion for recommendation of approval to City Council for Case 1AB 2025 per the staff recommended stipulations after finding the proposed abandonment is consistent and conforms with the adopted general plan. 3's the other one? No, 4. I make a motion for recommendation of 4TA 2024-2 after finding that the proposed text amendment is consistent and conforms with the adopted general plan.
Perfect. Thank you, Commissioner Joyner. Do we have a second?
I second.
Perfect. Thank you, Commissioner. We have a first and a second, so roll call vote, please.
Chair Scarborough,
Yes.
Vice Chair Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Yes.
Commissioner Ertel,
Yes.
Commissioner Joyner,
Yes.
Commissioner Drake,
Yes.
Commissioner Reed.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
All right, and let's move on to regular agenda, and we'll start off with item number 3, 9AB 2024, the Arden Scottsdale right-of-way abandonment.
Chair Scarborough, Vice Chair Young, and members of the commission, my name is Chris Zimmer. I'm a senior planner with the city of Scottsdale, here to present the Arden 9AB 2024 abandonment. Oh my, sorry, hold on 1 second. Okay. Here's the subject site. It's located near the southern tip of Scottsdale, just northeast of McKelps and Miller Road. Here's a blow-up detail of that abandonment area. It's approximately 25 feet. It's the southern portion of Polk Street that they are looking to abandon to ultimately build a multifamily development on this parcel. This is the existing zoning surrounding the site. It is R5, and again, is subject to just that red area for the 25 feet of abandonment. Again, the request for the city, for the Planning Commission is a recommendation to City Council regarding an abandonment of 25 feet for East Polk Street, located on the northern boundary of those parcels associated and located at 7601 East Polk Street with existing multifamily development. That kind of ends staff's presentation right now. Happy to answer any questions. The applicant is here and is willing to answer any questions that you guys have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmer. Do we have any commissioners that have questions? Commissioner Gonzalez?
Thank you. Thank you, sir. I was wondering on this abandonment, because the way it shows right now, and I was looking at the project previously, it's such a small sliver there, and obviously, you know, it's not going to degrade the product by very much. And the use of the abandonment will be actually is it for fire access also?
It'll ultimately be a part of the fire access. The associated case with this is 32 DR 2024. That has all the multifamily components to it, the building, landscaping, circulation, infrastructure, all of those questions. Commissioner Gonzalez.
And so the access for fire is what?
It'll be generally in the same location. I'll pull up the proposed site plan for the site so you guys can get an idea of what they are proposing.
So the total number of units in there on the proposal was what again?
Commissioner Gonzalez, I believe it's 22.
Very good.
23, sorry.
Okay, if they choose to abandon or process this as an abandonment, are they going to, did they say anything about creating an HOA that would put a gate onto this?
Commissioner Gonzalez, I would defer to the applicant team to answer if they would have an HOA.
Very good, thank you,
but
sir.
Looking at it, they're shaking their head no.
Okay, so then they would have complete access to it, and the city would have access to the services on the property because they're not going to enclose it on an HOA, is that correct?
That is my understanding, Commissioner.
Okay. Then the other fact of the matter is that if they're asking for this abandonment, is the city going to abandon this, or are they going to give it back to the city to manage as far as an easement?
They would ultimately abandon, the city would ultimately abandon that right-of-way and would be obtained by the parent parcels.
Very good. So then the city services won't be interrupted or anything in there if there's an issue with that alley, or, you know, it's not an alleyway, but that access point, there's no problems as far as city servicing into that complex?
Commissioner Gonzalez, no. All the city departments, infrastructure, solid waste have reviewed the DRB submittal and have made comments associated to it.
Okay, so then the way I looked at it right now, because I didn't see an access point, an exit point to this, then the easement is actually going to create how does the fire trucks basically get in and out of that area if it's only 25 feet?
Sure, Commissioner Gonzalez, you can actually see it's very light on this image, but they actually show the truck turnaround for refuse in here. So it's ultimately one access point off of Miller Road, and they'll enter the site and do any turnarounds necessary for fire access, solid waste.
Okay. And where is the waste? Is it going to be a communal waste for the development?
Yes, it's currently right in the middle of the project right here, easy access for the solid waste trucks.
Okay, and at this point in time, there's no barriers or anything of sorts for, roughly a large truck access?
Not that staff is aware of.
Okay, very good. Well, you answered my question. I'd like to ask the applicant a couple of questions, and then we'll just finish.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner.
Has the Arden already been approved? So all we're doing is approving this abandonment, or has this case come before planning before?
So the abandonment, Commissioner Joyner, the abandonment is currently right now being proposed, and the Arden development will come later from DRB.
Thank you.
That's why I'm asking the questions now. So in another case scenario in there, with,
Hold on, point of order. Could you please state your name and your
Sorry.
address and
Yes.
introduce yourself? Yeah.
For the record, Taylor Earl with the law firm of Earl and Curley. We are at 3101 North Central Avenue, Suite 1000.
Thank you.
okay, so in other words, in this development, with the unit size and everything, are the front yards going to be of desert type of landscaping, or what are they asking for? Because, because it is pretty tight in there, and a lot of the access points are, they have to move forward and back out and stuff like that for the larger vehicle servicing this area. So I just kind of wanted to see if there was any barriers, impediments to the access.
Yeah, so with regard to access, so tonight's really just about determining whether or not it should be public or whether it should be privately held.
Right.
But in terms of the access, in terms of fire, in terms of refuse, all of that has to be reviewed in part of our design review case. The reason we think it's better to be in private is that right now you have a city street that is not being well maintained. It's kind of an odd little thumb that goes, because it can't extend any further east, it really doesn't make sense for this to remain public. So our only objective here tonight is to determine whether it can be abandoned. But in terms of the questions you're asking about, hey, are we going to make sure that it has sufficient width? Because the site plan you're seeing on the screen has not been approved, and it's possible that fire or refuse could say, hey, you know what, you're going to have to redesign this, you're going to have to move units around. So the only question tonight is, should we leave this public street in the middle of this, these series of parcels, or does it make sense for it to go into private? And so by privatizing it, not only are we paying the city for it, but also we're agreeing to maintain it. Because like I said, right now, it's not been well maintained, but it makes sense because it's this weird kind of thing of the cities. The other concern is that if you leave it public, you now have an unenforceable area in the middle of a project, where currently there's a lot of vagrancy going on in this. So if you were to say, you know what, let's just leave it public in the middle of this project, you would have an inability by these property owners to enforce anybody hanging out in that middle of their project, right, in the middle of their community. So by making it private, we do have to have easement rights to make sure that cities can come in and all of that can be preserved. But we aren't prohibited from saying, hey, you can't loiter in the middle of our project, right? So we think it makes sense to do the abandonment.
Well, because this is a question about access, that's why I'm asking the questions. Because if you leave it private, I understand what the HOA will do, and eventually a lot of not this particular project, but a lot of HOAs decide later on in the fact that they'll either gate or ungate something, and that's why I'm trying to determine what the actual case will be about, so that we can see if there's an access point or everything. We understand that the transportation, everybody has to come forward on this, but by asking these questions, this also is a public venue. We want to understand and have public discussion, if there is any discussion at all, about what this entails. Because this does impact the city, because you're asking the city to do something, and you're saying that you're doing something, but yet nothing has been agreed to yet. So that's my point of questioning. So in other words, then, your viewpoint is basically that you're going to maintain the property in a better attitude than the city has taken so far?
And again, that's not a slam on the city. It's just a note that you have this weird public right-of-way in the kind of the middle of nowhere. We wouldn't expect the city to be investing large amounts of money to maintain a roadway that doesn't go anywhere, right?
Right.
And so in terms of policing, yeah, I would say that I wouldn't expect the police to be better at policing this little strip of roadway than we will be able to police it in terms of our HOA. We have no intentions to gate this. There really isn't a space designed into our site plan where we could have a turnaround, right? And we do want to have refuse collection, so that's something that we've met with the city on to make sure there's sufficient width, to make sure the hammerheads are things we don't just get to, draw our site plan, right? So typical of any type of multifamily development, you would not have public driveways, you wouldn't have public roadways in the middle of those projects. This is simply putting us on similar footing to things that the city has the projects the city has all over its city. And so we're not doing anything really particularly odd here. What's odd is that you have a project that effectively took Polk and cut it off so that there was no future connection to the east. It is sort of an oddity that it still exists here today. And so we're trying to put it into a normal condition of having that driveway being a private condition rather than the city having to maintain it or police it.
Well, my main viewpoint is the access point is determined by how much the city has to participate in this, and that's the purpose for my questioning. I think you've answered everything, and I'm satisfied with your answers. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We're aware this has to go in front of the Development Review Board for final review of site plan, landscaping, aesthetics. So my one question is, how many units are currently within this right-of-way area that you're proposing?
Let me make sure I'm answering correctly. So we are proposing 23 units in the project
Within the
overall.
25-foot right-of-way that you would like abandoned, how many of the proposed units currently reside within that?
Sit within that. I think the answer is 1,
Okay,
possibly 2.
that makes sense. Thank you. I'm perfectly fine with this application. I know you have more of a process to go with the city to finalize the project, and it's fine details. So good questions. Anybody else have questions for the applicant? Okay. If there are no more questions, could I have on this item, that's a good question. Let's see, I do apologize. I apologize, thank you. There is a public comment on this. So we'll have the public come up, and Maylene, hopefully I don't ruin this, Pankowitz? Hopefully, Maylene, I got that right. I do apologize if that is not.
Thank you.
If you'd state your name, your address, and go ahead and start.
My name is Mylen Pinkiewicz. I live at 303 North Miller Road, which is the development exactly east of this proposal. I want to preface the whole conversation by saying that I understand that this is an abandonment case and not a design case. However, I came here to provide public comment so that it's available for other commissions and so that you are aware of my issues, and hopefully when other people go through this, they don't have to go through the pains that I went through. I am a planner by trade. I've been principal planner at the City of Tempe reviewing site plans like this, and principal transportation planner at the City of Scottsdale reviewing site plans like this. And my concern with the site plan regarding the safety, as well as the Commissioner Gonzalez expressed, and it's something that we really took a look at Tempe, is that people can access that road. It is not gated, and there is a huge walkway on the back that's accessible to everyone and causes a hiding spot for everyone. That will be exactly next door to my bedroom, since my unit is right there. And the whole design you can't see here because this is only the first story. The site plan does not consider for the second and third story, which actually provide a pop-out of about 4 feet to cover that patio, which makes that 3-story wall even closer to my home. At this time, I'm measuring it at about 21 feet setback from my bedroom window, and the elevations, which are not shown here either, show balconies facing our bedrooms for all of us at Casa de Amigos. It is a concern to me. I understand the site is entitled as R5, so they are entitled to their 3 stories. Unfortunately, at the time that Casa de Amigos was built, developers were not doing 3 stories, even though we are R5 as well. My concern is that looking north in all of Miller Road, we don't have that situation, even when 2 R5 developments are back to back. So for example, we're 60 feet setback from the Scottsdale Casitas, which is also R5 and 2 stories, between the Scottsdale Chazal, which is a Roosevelt, and the Parkview Villas that are 1 story, or that are 3 stories and 2 stories. There is approximately 50 feet setback between those 2, with additional setback because of a step back, not a pop out. There is a small portion that's less than 20 feet between Parkview Villas, which are 3 stories, and the 1-story Scottsdale Garden that has there is about a length of 30 feet where that condition occurs, that there is a 15-foot setback, and after that, there is those step backs that allow for more circulation. And then there is approximately an 80-foot setback between the one-story Scottsdale Gardens and the two-story Scottsdale Park Suites. And there is a 70-foot setback between the three-story condos, the new Papago Lux, and the two-story Scottsdale Park Suites. And then lastly, there is about an 80-foot setback, including Culver Street, between the three-story San Traversia, which is newer, and the two-story condos on the southwest corner of Miller and Culver. I just want to point that condition. I want to point that by approving, and I understand there's no other way to provide that access because of how the land sits, but it's just disappointing that these cases are not, next to each other, so that I can do better. I'll definitely come back when this case is available. I just want to make you aware of my concerns and just the poor design of this development. I'm not against development, but I think that we do need to respect whatever has been done just historically in our South Scottsdale neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. I'm gonna mess it up again. Pankovic, hopefully I got closer to your last name on that, I apologize. We thank you so much for your comments. Those are design related, and this will go to the Development Review Board. They will handle design. I can also tell you, I was looking over Mr. Zimmer and he was taking lots of notes. So if you haven't already, I would go and confer with Mr. Zimmer, the planner for Scottsdale, and make sure you further articulate your concerns so that's heard by the DRB as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we have no more comments from the public, so would love to entertain a motion if a commissioner has a motion. Commissioner Ertel.
Make a motion for recommendation of approval to City Council for Case 9AB 2024. That is the right one, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Per the staff recommended stipulations, after finding that the proposed abandonment is consistent and conforms with the adopted general plan.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
Thank you. Commissioner Drake has seconded. So roll call vote, please.
Chair Scarborough,
Yes.
Vice Chair Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
No.
Commissioner Ertel,
Yes.
Commissioner Joyner,
Yes.
Commissioner Drake,
Yes.
Commissioner Reed.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0, or 6-1. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda is number 5, 8ZN 2024 Ranch Gate 40. I believe Mr. Murillo is not here today. Oh, perfect. Okay. Mr. Barnes.
Good evening, Chair Scarborough, Vice Chair Young, and members of the Planning Commission. I'm Jeff Barnes, filling in for Jesus for you tonight on 8ZN 2024. So the action requested before you is a recommendation to the City Council regarding a request by the owner for a zoning district map amendment from the current single-family residential environmentally sensitive lands R1 130 ESL zoning to single-family residential environmentally sensitive lands R135 ESL on a plus or minus 40-acre site currently consisting of 2 parcels for an eventual 32-lot subdivision at the corner of Ranch Gate and 128th Street. Some key items quickly just to cover on this one is this is located in the Dynamite Foothills Character Area Plan, which promotes the preservation of existing rural desert character. There are amended development standards contemplated as part of this request for lot width, lot area, and building setbacks. Those are a component of the environmentally sensitive lands zoning overlay and are a function of the DRB's authority through the preliminary plat, but they are mentioned through this application so that awareness carries forward in the process on this. There are 3 large washes that run through the site. Those amended standards do assist in configuring the the proposed subdivision so that the lots are tailored around those washes and those corridors can continue on through. This development proposal accounts for providing additional NAOS in the amount of approximately 3.87 acres above the minimum requirement. There were public comments received along the way, some of which were in your packet when it was provided to you. The rest, as Mr. Curtis mentioned, have been provided today for you that had come in more recently. Getting into the site location, this site is located at the southeast corner of 128th Street and Ranch Gate Road in the highlighted area. It's surrounded on three sides by the Story Rock development out there. Across the street, 128th Street to the west, is McDowell Mountain Manor and Sereno Canyon beyond that. A little bit closer view here. I mentioned this was two parcels currently. You can sort of see that split, but also visually apparent on this, hopefully, up at the top, cutting through the middle and down in the lower right corner are those three wash corridors that I highlighted in the key items for you. Mentioned in the intro, but the existing zoning R1 130 ESL is proposed to change to R135 ESL. I can come back to these details, but I really just wanted to highlight for you the top line in this, which is density, for your consideration comparison of what's being proposed here. The existing R1 130 ESL zoning carries a 0.31 density, which would result a calculated total of 12 lots. The proposed R135 in its true form would result 1.04 as a density factor and calculated 41 lots. But what's being proposed for you is a more practical application of 32 lots, which results a 0.80 density per the site plan included and stipulated to with this proposal. Putting that into a little bit of perspective in the surrounding areas densities for you, that proposed 0.8 is opposite 128th Street from McDowell Mountain Manor, which is also 0.8. Asteria Highlands just down to the south there at 0.77. And the Story Rock development surrounding on the other three sides coming in at 0.96. This is the site plan that comes along with this application. This development would gain access through a gated entry off of Ranch Gate Road up at the north end of the site here. There is a secondary emergency vehicle access point, not primary vehicle access point down at the lower part that would also account for a trail connection out to the trail system along 128th. As I mentioned, the lots are arranged in a way to attempt to respect those wash corridors at the 3 points through the site. A good portion of the natural area open space requirement for this is met through tracts within the subdivision. There are some carryover on-lot NAOS areas, but the majority is being met through tracts, which accounts for capturing a lot of that wash corridor area as well. This proposal also includes getting a scenic corridor along 128th Street. That is a 100-foot average scenic corridor with the minimum parameter of 85 feet. You can see several points where it widens out much greater than that along that frontage. We would also be getting the desert scenic roadway buffer along the Ranch Gate Road frontage. I'm going to skip to maybe this open space plan that helps put some of that in a little more context for you with what is surrounding in the area with the aerial photos here. just conveying that a lot of that perimeter open space is bleeding into adjacent open space areas within the other development and creating larger, more meaningful open space sections there. Covering quickly just some updates along the way. Since this project was originally submitted, there was added the addition of a street light at the intersection of 128th and Ranch Gate. This was the subject of some of the correspondence that you received today. So I will take a moment to clarify here that that street light is an illumination of the intersection. There was some dialogue about a traffic signal that is not what this is, and that had led into discussions about if a traffic signal, then why not a roundabout? But just in initial response to some of that correspondence, and Jesus had provided some commentary back out to the public about that, but this is a street light to illuminate what has been identified as a dark intersection out there. Additionally, the updates made since the initial proposal is the use of that secondary emergency access point that I pointed out at the lower left corner of the site. That is indicated to be used for construction traffic during the construction process, so that won't have to come in through Ranch Gate Road for as long as that's achievable to do that. And then it'll be restored back with the final improvements to be that trail connection and just the emergency access route for that. And then the number of lots initially came in at 33 and was reduced down to 32 through the process to this point. So with that, staff's recommendation is that the Planning Commission find the zoning district criteria have been met and determine that the proposed zoning district map amendment is consistent with and conforms with the adopted general plan, and make that recommendation to the City Council for approval subject to the attached stipulations. That concludes staff's presentation. Happy to answer any immediate questions. I know the applicants here, they've got a presentation for you, and I can come back in with additional questions later if you'd like.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. We'll open up to the commission to see if commissioners have any questions for staff.
I do.
Okay, Commissioner Joyner?
Thank you, Chairman. I spoke to the original engineer yesterday that worked on the master plan for this area, and I've spent the last 3 days driving around it. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Preserve Ranch, Story Rock, absolutely pristine, our last remaining pristine area in Scottsdale. I'm real concerned, okay, so I understand that a street light is now not going in. How much light is created by what you're proposing?
Chair Scarborough, Commissioner Joyner, I'm not sure that I have those exact numbers in front of me. We do have our transportation staff. John Hong is here.
Okay.
I believe he may have some more details that he might be able to share on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Chair Scarborough and Commissioners, John Huang, Senior Manager, Scottsdale Traffic Engineer and Operations. So right now, there is only one street light stipulated for this project at the intersection of Ranch Gate and 128. And because of this roadway classification, it's gonna be in about 7,000 lumens, equivalent to about 60 watts fixture, which is not compared to the arterial. Arterial has about 12,000 lumens and about 120 watts. So just half of what you normally see along the arterial.
Is it a blinking light?
No.
So is it lit 24 hours a day?
No, it'll be on, it has a sensor, a photocell from dusk till dawn.
Okay,
May I interject real quick?
sure.
I want to make a distinction. It sounds like there's no traffic signal going in here, but there will be a street light to illuminate the
I
street.
understand.
Okay.
I haven't got to my point yet.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
What is the plan? Right now, 128th is only paved to Joe Max. It's with the amount of building that's going on out there, and there's a lot of building that isn't even occupied yet, isn't even out of the ground yet. What is the plan to pave 128th to Dynamite? Do you know when that's scheduled?
Jeff, can I pass it back to you on that one? Paving or any future projects?
Yeah, because we're just beginning to see the development out in that area. And the reason I'm making this point is, and I know I don't know if the person is in the audience that made the comment about traffic, but my concern is that I think this is a perfect place for a roundabout. And maybe anticipating the amount of development that's going on out there, and that traffic is going to increase. This particular site is going to dump right out onto Ranch Gate, but this is a small site that we're talking, so I'm not trying to pick on this development at all. It's gorgeous. I mean, it is absolutely beautiful, and I love what everybody's doing out there. But that is the last dark sky area we have in Scottsdale. And because of the way that it's situated off of McDowell's and then up onto the golf course, any light that's put in down there is going to be visible from the whole area. And I actually talked to somebody that lives on the east side of the McDowell's, and they can see that area from their home. So I don't know if that person's here because they texted me, but why aren't we looking at a roundabout for this area in anticipation of future development, which is coming? You can't answer that, I'm sure. I just want to put it out there because this is a perfect place for a roundabout.
J.L. Scarborough, Commissioner Joyner, I can answer that. So a roundabout, a traffic signal, or even the always stops has evaluation analysis goes into it. As of right now, I guess it's not a built-out condition, so more than likely it may not meet warrants for a signal or a roundabout, but maybe it's something in the future we can look into.
Okay. I have another question for staff. When I was talking to the engineer yesterday, when we originally did this, I was on DRB, and there was comments, a requirement and stipulation for a sewage line with a lift station to go up Dynamite Road, Rio Verde Road for a lot of this development. I was reading the application. How is the sewage from this development handling? Because the sewer line on Rio Verde hasn't taken place yet.
Commissioner Joyner, Chair Scarborough, because I'm filling in for Jesus.
I know, I'm sorry. I tried to warn him.
But I would imagine the applicant team is far more in-depth on that one and would be able to answer.
Yeah, because I saw a lift station just north of this on 128th Street, but when I spoke to Ali, he said the lift station was stipulated for this whole area, and I didn't see any evidence of construction or any reference in the case about that. So I'll let the applicant address that. But anyway, I just wanted on the record that I want those dark skies protected out there for the applicants and for the residents and for those of us that live up north. It's exquisite. I just want to protect it. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Joyner. Commissioner Ertel.
Thank you, Chair. Building off of what Commissioner Joyner said, I mean, I understand what Mr. Wong said about 700 or whatever it was, so 700 lumens versus 1,300 or something like that.
Yeah, 7,000 lumens
7,000,
versus
yes.
about 12.
Missed by a zero. I don't quite understand that. The 60-watt light bulb versus 100. There is a roundabout at Happy Valley and Alma School, and it's got lights on that, which people have complained, residents have complained, it ruins the dark skies. It's too bright. So is the light that you're proposing for this site, or this area, less than, the same as, or greater than the lights that are at that roundabout at Happy Valley and Alma School?
Chair Scarborough, Commissioner Artel, that's a good question. Actually, the roundabout at that location you mentioned, Happy Valley and Alma School, has about 14 fixtures, and all of them are a lot higher intensity than the one that they proposed. So 14 versus 1, and there was a minor tweak that our staff ended up doing because a couple of lights actually pointed directly to the resident's home. And we actually tweaked that. We put shields on it, pointed away from a resident, so.
That's good, that's good.
Thank you.
Another comment that came in from residents had to do with seeing white, they're higher up and they could look down on surrounding developments and see white roofs, white flat roofs. And Director Curtis gave me some clarification on that stuff that I probably should have remembered. But could you address that, why they can have white or at least light-colored roofs in that area?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Ertel, it's not just in that area. A couple years ago, the city passed the International Green Construction Code as part of the building department requirements. And consistent with that is low reflective roofs for to deal with the heat and energy conservation. And so the zoning code was changed as initiated by the city council, and then open houses occurred and went through the planning commission, and then ultimately city council to allow in ESL and anywhere else really the more reflective roofs from a heat and energy conservation standard to be consistent with IGCC. So, but keeping in mind that that area is, with regard to the citizen comments, that area is pretty new. A lot of the trees will grow taller. The buildings are limited to 24 feet in height, and not all the roofs are flat roofs. So, but that's the reason why there are lighter colored roofs that typically you didn't see previously.
Okay, thank you. One last question, comment. The proposed zoning would allow for 41 units in houses in here, residents. And then it was, from what I saw from the presentation, it was dropped down by the developer to 33. And then with the help of staff, it was reduced to 32. So, my first reaction was, those are 9 residents that are not going to be available for residents. It's not exactly resident-friendly to reduce the number of residences available. But okay, why did it go from 33? Because, I'm looking at the lot layout, not here, but on the other slide. If it had the easternmost street, I guess, had dropped down a little bit more, yeah, it would take some of the NAOS, but like you say, there's plenty of it there. What was the reason for losing that 33rd house?
Chair Scarborough, Commissioner Ertel, I will allow the applicant to respond to that, just so I'm not misstating some of the history that I wasn't fully part of.
Okay.
But I'm guessing they will have that for you.
Thank you.
And Commissioner Ertel, we'll wait until we get to them doing their presentation, then you can ask that question again.
Oh,
Is
yeah,
that okay?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just with this rezone, they're going from 12 lots to 32, so one could argue this is a 20 additional homes for
Well, that's
20
true,
additional
too.
residents
That's
as well.
true, too.
Just throwing it out there.
It's half full, but it's half empty.
Okay, and Mr. Wong, I can't let you go quite yet. Thank you for your patience and thank you for being here. With this project, I'm assuming a traffic study was completed, correct? Was there any warrants related to that intersection in terms of signalization or roundabout?
No, as far as I am aware.
Okay, so this street light we're talking about is not a traffic signal. It is literally an illuminating light to light the street. So it would hit the ground. It would focus to light the intersection at the ground level. And are there other street lights on any of these streets? I apologize. I have not been up there, so I'm asking. So on any road, 128th or Ranch Gate, there are no street lights on any of those roads currently. And a part of this project, there's no adjacent street lights being required?
No.
Okay, so it's a single light to light the intersection, and that's what's being requested by staff at this point?
Chair Scarborough and Commissioners, yes, because this is a conflict point intersection that we notice with increase in traffic volumes.
Okay. I just want to make sure I at least had that context while we had you here, and with more questions to be had, of course.
I have one more question.
Well, hold on, we're quick for a second. Are there any other commissioners that have questions? Just a second.
Okay.
Commissioner Gonzalez, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I guess maybe because of the lumens, it kind of throws people a little bit off of lumens and sizes and everything. I'm just going to relate it down to what we have, like for tennis courts. You know, they're basically a shaded apparatus that downcast a lot of the light. Would not that be adequate to light up? Because we only want to illuminate the intersection. We don't need to illuminate everything. And because of dark skies, the illumination that goes above and beyond into the sky, that's the biggest problem. Whether it's 7,000 or 70,000, it still, you know, filters into the sky. Whereas if we have something that basically just shows just the intersection and lights up the street at the intersection, we don't need something that goes into the sky. Is that it's a hooded element? Has that been considered for that intersection?
Chair Scarborough, Commissioner Gonzalez, that's a very good question. We have 3 different types of fixtures that does exactly that. All the fixtures that we have internal shield in it, so we only gonna put the lumens on the roadway within the right of way, and not onto anybody's property.
So hopefully that we're not going to be able to share the glare up in the sky and illuminate the rest of the dark skies. We're going to be able to control it and keep it right at the intersection level?
That's correct, sir.
Okay.
Point it down onto the roadway.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner Joyner.
I promise this is my last question. Knowing that 1,300 homes are going to go into this area, and the traffic is going to continue to go up, how will that intersection with this minimal light be handled? I mean, are they going to come back in and go, oh, a roundabout's too expensive to put in now, so we're going to stick a traffic light in there? What assurance can we give the neighbors and me that this isn't, I mean, how will that be handled? What will traffic do as that traffic increases, and especially as 128th gets put through to Dynamite?
Well, so I think we answer, right now, no warrants has been met for the traffic signal or the roundabout. But in the future, let's just say if there's increase in traffic volume, we will have our staff evaluate and do the analysis of which one would be the most appropriate at that location. If it's the roundabout or traffic or like that. And then the funding, I don't think we look at the funding as one of the criteria we should do. We're looking at traffic safety. If the signal is gonna serve the most purpose at that location, the signal is gonna go in, and the same thing with the roundabout.
And that's my fear, is that right now, we have an opportunity to protect this area that might not be available in the future when the 1,300 homes go in and it opens up to dynamite. And I can't imagine that anybody here wants a light out there. And I don't know what to do to keep it from happening, but I think today is a good time to talk about it. So anyway, thank you. I think I've made my point.
And it's a good one, so thank you for doing that. I mean, one could argue that this is an opportunity, if it makes sense, to look at having land dedicated to accommodate a future roundabout for this intersection to help make that a reality. But again, part of the discussion will happen in a little bit. With no more comments, Vice Chair.
I do have one question. Mr. Wong, so hypothetically, if there was a roundabout here, would that warrant additional lights for maneuvering in that? Because you had mentioned that
Chair Scarborough, Commissioner Young, yes. For public safety, more than likely, there's going to be additional lighting. I mentioned earlier at Happy Valley and Alma School, there were about 14 fixtures because we have to actually increase public safety, knowing that pedestrians can cross intersection.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. With that, we'll go ahead and have the applicant do their presentation.
Alrighty. Always gotta adjust this thing a little bit. My name is Keith Nichter. I'm a land planner with Kimley Horn. I just had to look up my address because we moved 2 weeks ago and I didn't even know it. So it's 2046 Riverview Auto Drive, Mesa, Arizona. Got it right. All right. So today, obviously talking about Ranch Gate 40. Jeff did a great job with the presentation. By the way, Jesus owes you. So I'm going to skip over a lot of this because I think he did a great job kind of setting the context. Additionally, if there's any questions afterwards, I also have members from the team here. I'm a land planner. We got the smart one here. We got a civil engineer. We got the client and some other members of the project team. So hopefully all together we can answer your questions. This exhibit I think is just helpful just to show, again, you kind of have a sense of where the site is, but related to just the context and what's built. You mentioned the homes in this area. The reality is a lot of them are built. We're getting close. And I have been fortunate to work in this area for the majority of my career. In fact, I've worked with my client here specifically on Story Rock since 2012. So we were the land planning team, or I was with another firm, but that's beside the point. And we also worked on Sereno Canyon. So the reality is I've worked on this area a long time, but unfortunately I'm gonna have to find a new place to start doing work because we're getting close to the end here. And the reason being is when we did the Story Rock community, there was a couple out parcels that weren't a part of it. There was this one that's 40 acres, and then you'll see just south of Alameda, there's 20 acres that are essentially left. So that's really the only out parcels other than the family village that would be left to develop within Story Rock. So contextually, our landowner, our client has owned land out here since the 80s. So they've been a part of being annexed from, county R143 land into the city. Obviously, it was brought in at R130, but with the general plan designation of 1 dwelling unit per acre. Just kind of, again, zooming in here, just to give you a little more context. That's kind of the surroundings that are under construction. As I mentioned, we're within the rural neighborhoods designation. That allows a maximum of 1 dwelling unit per acre. So at 40 units or 40 acres, that could allow up to 40 lots. My client's a little unique. He's been doing this a long time. He knows that community outreach is a big part of getting these approved. We originally looked at a plan that was 40 lots. The reality is, based on where the washes were located, it just didn't make sense. We were cramming too much into a small developable area. And in order to kind of set the context and match that rural character that's out there, as well as just the overall quality and character of the area, it made sense to not move forward with 40. And so we looked at a plan that originally was 33. And the reason being is because 33 is an R143 density. So if you look at the 0.83 dwelling units per acre that's allowed within R143, we felt like that was a good fit. When we developed Story Rock, we kind of worked from the inside out. We had smaller lots internal and kind of worked out to R143s on the perimeter. So that's what we looked at from a density standpoint. Again, these are all reasons to match what the general plan has related to keeping special care to the open desert and preserving the vegetation. I provided a couple exhibits here because this kind of tells the story as I move on. So within the general plan and the ESL ordinance, there's discussion about clustering. The reason for that is there are a lot of washes out in this area, right? You can develop a large lot and you can have a wash goes through somebody's wash or lot on lot. So it's just preserved in an easement. By clustering, there's different ways to approach it. You can move homes within the developable areas, and you can also use amended development standards to shrink lots to avoid as much on-lot NEOS. So essentially, we're an R143 density, but we are asking for R135 because of the amended standards. So the reason being is this area, we know what it's being developed as far as the builders go, and we understand, you know, the character out there, so we know what the size of these development envelopes are. The development envelopes are set. It doesn't make sense to have all this on lot NEOS. So with R135, we have a lot of R135 in the area as well. We're able to essentially maximize our tract NEOS. So I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go down the road here. Community outreach, again, community outreach is a big part of this. We worked a lot on Story Rock, and it was actually kind of cool going to the neighborhood meeting because a lot of the residents that showed up live in Story Rock now, so it's cool to, you know, hear how much they love the community. So again, that all plays into part how we develop these projects. At the neighborhood meeting, I'll just kind of go through some of the talking points, and I feel like we've addressed everything, and we'll be able to kind of walk through that. Drainage, again, we're preserved. There's 3 washes on the site. The north and the south wash are larger washes. The center wash is the smaller one of the 3. So we've preserved the larger washes. We're essentially revegetating the middle one to provide drainage to the site. The staff's approved the drainage report. It kind of matches the whole character of the Story Rock development. And again, it's to set those large buffers. Water and sewer, Story Rock, we actually master planned this area with this 40 acres. The owner at the time did not want to be a part of the application, but she wanted to kind of be brought along the way. So we assumed 40 lots for this site. So in our water and sewer reports, we assumed 40 lots. We also built all the infrastructure. So all the roads and infrastructure are in place. The water and the sewer are stubbed to the site along with a driveway apron. It's ready to go. Essentially on a plate ready for development. Traffic, the additional 20 lots here represents about 188 more trips per day. If you're going about your daily activities, that's unnoticeable. The reality too is, man, I have so many stories I could tell you with Story Rock, but I'll tell you one. Originally, Greasewood Flats was looking to be relocated out here. So the TEMA with Cavalier Ranch was actually, there were separate projects, but it was approved anticipating trips for Greasewood Flats. So there's almost 800 trips that will not be accounted for out here. So related to traffic, we lost 800 trips, and even with those 800 trips, at that intersection, it did not warrant a traffic signal or a roundabout. So I know we've discussed that. We can talk about it later during questions. I'm running out of time, but just set some context there. Building height, we're committed to match the existing community, 24 feet, one-story homes. Real quick, related to roof types, new news, breaking news, is David Weekley, really high-end builder, is under contract on this. Fingers crossed, if approved, they'll be moving forward as the home builder. They've developed out in this area, they do tile roofs. Lighting, dark skies. We're committed to low-level landscape lighting just at the entries. The light at the intersection came up, obviously from a safety standpoint, but it was also required by staff. I mean, in the reality, we wouldn't want to build it, but you know, we care about safety as well. So we can work with the staff and the neighbors through the DRB process. They're the actual body that approves lighting plans, so we'll be able to do photometrics and all that stuff. Wildlife, we actually, even though it's not required, have done a biological study, so nothing's out here that isn't expected based on all the development out here. Fire, we added emergency access. That was one of the reasons we lost a lot. And then construction access, we added construction access off 128th because residents were worried about construction trucks coming down Ranch Gate. And their gate is just east of our entry, so they don't want construction trucks coming down. So we took out a lot to add emergency access, construction access will be temporary, and also a trail connection, which was another part of the neighborhood meeting. So again, the lot size reduction is just to have more tracked NEOS. Jeff went over the amended standards. Related to the NEOS, we're providing a 27% increase, but only 14 of that is required, but almost all of the required area we're providing in tracts. We could have developed this site, got larger lots, they would have been able to be sold for more, but we value the community input. We also value our relationship with the city. We've heard this a lot out here. A lot of the development in Story Rock has a lot of tracked NEOS. Good thing is, it's not on someone's lot. They're not responsible for it. The HOA is responsible for it. So from a fire perspective, maintenance, all that stuff, the HOA is responsible for that tracked NEOS. So again, we're just shrinking the lots for that. But the density stays within that R143 density. It's actually less, obviously. So try to sneak in some answers to your questions there. Sorry if I was going too fast. We can slow down after this to answer any further questions. But in summary, we lost a lot because of just sensitive planning, doing the right thing, also working with the neighbors. So that's why we are where we are. The general plan allows 40, right? But the character has been established in this area, and we feel that now 32 is an appropriate request. The majority of the required NEOS is in tracts. We fit within the approved master plans. That's a unique thing. That was part of the benefit of Story Rock. This whole area was master planned. I'll sneak in one more answer to the question related to sewer if I don't get in trouble. But the plan obviously has capacity because we're within 40 lots were anticipated for this site in the master plans. So we have capacity. There's capacity today. There is a larger IIP in place that the city's looking at regionally to make regional improvements because there has been some other development to the west, and so we will be paying an in lieu fee for those improvements when that time comes. It's not needed now. There's capacity now, and again, we're in those approved reports. But again, we are sensitive to those requests, and so we will be paying an in lieu fee there. And again, I think the big thing with this site, it kind of works out with the washes on the site, but we have very large buffers. I think at our southeast corner, we have like a 400-foot buffer. On the north, we're only required to have a 50-foot scenic buffer. It's really an average of 200 based on where that washes. So with the addition of David Weekley as our potential builder, again, fingers crossed if we get approval, we're just adding to the high-quality housing that's out here today. It's needed. It's a growing area. It's an exciting area. about, again, it's cool to see a lot of the residents enjoying living there, and that's part of the benefit of what we get to do. So that's exciting. So last thing I'll say is I just threw this in here related to dark skies. So the city actually has all these lighting requirements. Again, I mentioned that this will be a part of the DRB approval. So we're required to submit a lighting plan. We're expected to submit photometrics, but there's different levels of lighting within Scottsdale. You could go on the site and look at it. There's a lot on there, but there's different areas, and we're within like what you call an intrinsically dark area. So the lumens and the light pollution is very low. And in fact, we're willing to work with staff here. This whole confusion about the street light and the traffic light, again, it's not a signal. There's no warrants for a signal or a roundabout, even with the bar based on that approved TEMA. But we're willing to work through, obviously if this gets approved, we're willing to work with them at DRB to, show photometrics, see what works out here. Because the reality is the stipulations for a street light, technically, a lot of things can mean streetlight. So we could potentially work, even if it's on private land, maybe there's a way we could work with the city to ensure that this is very low level. It's not going to impede anyone's property. But this was a request from the city that we did oblige to. So we're willing to take that further and look into it. So while it just kind of came up, it hasn't given us a lot of time to discuss it. So happy to have those conversations down the road and take that even further. So
Thank you, Mr. Nichter. I appreciate that very much. We do have public comment here, request to speak. Ms. Stubbs, would you like to make a comment? Please say your name, address, then go ahead and start.
Hi, I'm Pam Stubbs. Address 28570 North 84th Street, Scottsdale. So I've been a realtor in Scottsdale for 40 years. I specialize in this North Scottsdale area, and I'm speaking in favor of this development. I think it's the proper development, the proper number of lots for this area, keeping that rural feel. And I don't know if many of you know this, but that is horse property. I specialize in horse property. I sell a lot of horse property. And that would have a high appeal to people with horses because of the size of the lot and the fact that there's city water there. Rio Verde is pretty much bought out. There's no real big, large parcels left. And the water situation out there with the wells is very difficult. So I think this could easily go horse property, and I think most of the people that live in Story Rock and live in that area would prefer this kind of development. It's going to enhance their property. It's going to make, especially when I hear who the builder is, very high caliber builder. It'll be beautiful homes. It's going to enhance their property and make their property more valuable. So I speak in favor of this development. I think it's the right use. I think it's the right number of lots, and I think it was very well designed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Stubbs. Appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Well, perfect. I don't think you need to rebuttal that.
I will say, with the sign out there with my number on it, I do get calls like, hey, when are the homes going to be available? So there's definitely excitement out there.
Great. With that, we'll open up questions from the commission. Anybody have questions for the applicant or staff?
The question that I had was, you've taken care of. I mean, okay, you go from 33, I guess, down to 32. You made a good explanation. I guess, I'm sure I know the answer, but you said part of the reason is because you need the construction access, which is temporary. Once that construction access is no longer needed, would you be able to stick one more unit in there?
So there was kind of three things. So construction access was a big one. We had another lot essentially along 128th Street. So we did our street design to minimize wash crossings. With 3 washes, we only have 2 wash crossings, which is pretty rare in ESL. Typically, people try to take advantage of all the development area. But with that being said, we only had so much frontage, so we couldn't fit a development envelope along 128th Street and still have that connection. The reality is it worked threefold. We're able to address the concerns about construction access. There was also concerns about emergency access. Now, a development this size isn't required to have secondary access, so it wasn't in our original proposal. But we understand the concern, and so our thought was that we can tackle that issue as well. The last point was related to trail connectivity. There's a existing sidewalk along 128th Street. There's an existing DG multi-use trail on the west side of 128th Street. We did not have a trail connection out to the west. Everyone would have to go up to Ranch Gate and go over. It made a lot of sense with trying to make some of these other considerations that we also have a trail connection for the folks that want to go down to Tom Thumb. So all in all, I think it all worked out together. In a perfect world, obviously we'd love to have the additional lot, but we're kind of working within that context.
As you say, this makes sense, so thank you very much.
I appreciate the question.
Okay, great. Thank you, Commissioner Ortel. Commissioner Joyner.
I have one more question.
I'm ready for you.
I have no doubt you're going to build a beautiful project because it's right in between all the other beautiful projects that these homeowners are lucky enough to live out there.
Yeah.
On my property, I have a wash that goes across the back of my own personal property, and I can tell you, preserving these washes is a gift to the community, so I'm glad you did that. Just to let you know, I will be on DRB when you bring this forward.
Oh, perfect.
So I will be watching for what you're going to do about lighting very
Awesome.
carefully.
Well, we'll be happy to even work with you up front and have those conversations with the neighbors as well. So I think through a photometric plan, we'll be able to get a good sense of how it impacts the neighborhood. Fortunately, at that intersection, we do have a lot of open space. I mentioned the large setbacks because of the wash. That kind of applies to all sides of the intersection. So I'm hopeful that this won't have any impact, but we'll be able to kind of vet that out.
Yeah, I'm less worried about your project than I am the future. That's
Definitely.
what I'm worried about, and I hope the homeowners pay attention because it sounds like city could stick a light there if they decided. So,
Well, the request was that it was a part of our final plat, so we'll be driving that ship, but we'll have the further conversations and be able to kind of get down more detail rather than springing it on you in a day. So,
Thank you, Commissioner Joyner. Any other commissioners? Okay. If there's no comments or deliberation, I guess I'm open to motions. If anybody wants to make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Drake?
I move that we recommend for approval to the City Council on the case 8-ZN-2024 per the staff recommended stipulations that the finding that the proposed zoning district map amendment is consistent and conforms with the adopted general plan.
I have a motion by Commissioner Drake. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner
And I'd
Ortel.
like to include in that second, this makes sense economically because it adds more houses and it doesn't burden traffic. It's going to look good, and well, and that's why I'm seconding.
Thank you, Commissioner Ortel. Roll call vote, please.
Chair Scarborough,
Yes.
Vice Chair Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Yes.
Commissioner Ertel,
Yes.
Commissioner Joyner,
yes.
Commissioner Drake,
Yes.
Commissioner Reed.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. I believe that's the last thing we have on our regular agenda, so if someone would like to make a motion for adjournment, I'd be willing.
So moved.
Okay, got a motion, second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 We're adjourned.